So we're here with Emily Kiddy, and she's going to give us a bit of an insight on how she does her trend forecasting and also tell us a bit about herself. So I'll hand over to you, Emily, if you'd just like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, as you know, I'm Emily Kiddy. I've been a designer now for over 10 years, and I gradually started to specialise in the children's wear industry. Yes, I own Kids Limited now, which is a company I set up which offers basically creative design solutions to a variety of kids wear brands and retailers and other freelance designers basically worldwide.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so could you describe a typical day in your life or how your weeks typically run?
I think they vary a lot. I'm always working for different designers or different brands or whatever, so it's always kind of quite different. But typically, I'll always spend at least a day working on my trend magazine, which I release a week, and that becomes more days of the week as it gets towards publishing it. I usually spend a couple of days of the week doing design work for whichever brand I'm doing, but it's always very diverse. It can be sometimes kids' sportswear, outerwear, to kind of everyday high street wear. So it's always, again, very different week to week. And then I also do lots of lecturing. So I lecture on trend forecasting, branding, fashion marketing each week as well. So usually quite a diverse week, which is really, really nice.
Sound very busy. Where can people find your trend magazine?
Where can we find it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, online. So I have a little blog called Emily Kiddy. If you Google Emily Kiddy, it comes up straight away. So I always release things on there. And now, since I've established the business Kids Limited, I also have a website for that. But it's nowhere near as popular as my blog at the moment, because the blog's been running for 10 years. So the blog's the best place to find it. And you can either buy it as a PDF or a physical hard copy, which I self-publish through blurb.com.
Oh, wonderful. And Pinterest as well. That's another
wonderful
place.
Yes, Pinterest was almost like an accident, but yeah, Pinterest has become really, really popular of mine. So actually a lot comes through that. But yeah, to find the actual trend report, it's probably best to go and look on the blog.
Brilliant. Okay, so what do you enjoy most about what you do? If you can
I think, like you already asked me, the diversity. One day I can be doing trend, the next day I can be designing a collection for a children's wear brand, and then another day I can be working with people, lecturing, helping other students out. So it's just a diversity, yeah.
No time to get bored.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I'm not very good at being bored. I'm always doing something, yeah.
And do you have any advice for other designers who are struggling with their work, or how they're actually interpreting trends or finding trends?
I think the main thing is that sometimes people I see trying to create, especially like some of the other students I've worked with, like trends that are too broad. So they'll have a colour palette sometimes of 15, 20 colours, whereas you just try and be, quite condensed. Try and have like 5 colours and maybe a few highlight colours, and be really specific about your trends. If it's getting too diverse, split it into 2 trends, because that's when it can become quite difficult and difficult to sort of translate. And also when you give it to the designer, if you've got something that's too broad, they don't know where to start, and often you'll get something back that isn't quite what you had in mind. So just be really, really specific.
Do you think it helps to have an end client in mind when you are working on the trends and designing?
Yeah, definitely. Because I guess, if you've got a specific brand, then obviously look at what they're doing, what their typical handwriting is. Because if you throw something that's completely totally off what they would do, it's just going to frighten them. But offer them something new while sticking to their handwriting is a really, really good idea. Yeah.
I remember hearing the phrase, I think I heard it at one of the Certex talks, and it was that they want familiar but different.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing everybody's always going on is they want something different, but you can't go too crazy that, it can't relate to them, or it's going to really stick out in store. It has to be new, I guess, is the main word. Different, and just new.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. And how important do you think it is to stick to your own style versus following the trends? Do you think it's best to try and find a happy medium, or go one way or the other?
I think everybody, usually when clients come to me, they come to me because they can sort of identify from my handwriting. They look through my blog, and, even over the 10 years, I guess there's always been a certain style. But if you kind of look over the archives, you'll sort of see how it's evolved over time. So you're naturally going to have a handwriting, and generally if people like your style, it's because of your handwriting. So keeping up with trends, trying out new things, but if you've got a personal identity that works, then keep going forward with that, definitely.
Okay, brilliant. Next question, let's see. How long does it usually take you to pull together a trend report?
A long while. So I'll start 2 years in advance of the season, just doing kind of pastel analysis, look what's going on in the markets, what new brands are emerging, looking at kind of Pinterest, what people are pinning, what people are interested in, and even outside of the fashion market. So absolutely anything that's kind of going on that I know will influence trends. And then I'll gradually start thinking about stories that might be emerging that I could make into trend stories. And then after about a year of browsing, and obviously I'll be working on multiple magazines because obviously I have them coming out every 6 months. But at the 1 year mark, I'll start really pulling images together to define those 5 stories that I publish. And then by about 6 months before what the release date will be, I'll actually start organising it into the publication. So that's when it becomes quite busy. And it'll be the last month where I almost focus all my work purely onto publishing that trend magazine. But it is a good 2-year rotation. Like even now, I'll be sort of 2 years in advance, starting to look what's kind of happening, what might kind of be emerging. Whereas I'm also working on the current one that will be released next year, where I'm starting to really pull those stories together. So it is kind of working on multiple trend magazines at the same time and just being really aware of what's happening, what people are wanting. And even when clients are coming to me, what are they looking for? What do they want for the coming seasons? And looking how they might move on from that to see what I can offer them.
And how do you store that information? Is it a mental thing that you're just kind of soaking it all up, or do you have a method of keeping it?
No, I have a very thick notebook, so it's all just instant. And it can even be talking to like students and things, or other mums perhaps, just hearing what they want and like offering everything. So thinking about kind of styles, shapes, and just kind of writing notes, and then gradually it'll move from notes to I'll start seeing imagery that I think, that will really fit under that idea. And then once I start to move it on so it actually becomes a physical story in my mind, I'll be like, okay, yes, that's the story. Then I'll really start trying to gather the imagery. So it can even be in the middle of the night. I can drive my husband mad. I'll be like, oh gosh, I've got the perfect idea. And, I'll be on my phone writing in the notes and things. So, a lot of mental story and lots of note keeping, and then a lot of kind of imaging and archiving to start getting the stories running.
Do you think being a mum has had an impact on how you approach things or how you look at things as well?
Absolutely. It's funny that you should ask that, because obviously I used to sort of just design with almost trends in mind. Whereas since having children, especially small babies, the amount of clothing that I've been bought that's completely impractical. It's just amazing. And how easy it is just to make simple clothing for children. It doesn't want to be too complicated. It just wants to be easy to get on and off. And if it's dirty, getting it off without, making the child completely dirty too. So I've taken on board a huge amount of things now and there's so many things that I've designed in the past and think, gosh, that's what a ridiculous idea that was. But just trying to keep life and just really, really beautiful materials. That's my main thing when I'm helping somebody launch a brand. I think it is just most of it's down to really, really beautiful, soft, good quality materials. I think that's really key.
Okay. Could you give us an overview of the steps that you take when you are actually going through the process of doing the trend reports?
After I've obviously done all the research that we just sort of talked about, once I start to actually physically create them, I create them in InDesign. So I'll come up with all the story headings. And then what I'll do is get all the images and basically put them into 5 folders naming the stories and literally just start filtering through. I'll literally get thousands and thousands of images, as you've probably seen if you've gone through my Pinterest boards. That is just how crazy some of the seasons get. And then I'll just start laying images together. It's almost like I'd sort of teach the students, I can have like 100 images for a trend, and it's really, really difficult to narrow it down. I try and keep to about 5 to 7 images really per trend. Because again, like I was saying earlier, I think it's really good to be specific. I think once you start getting more than that or a few contrasting prints, it starts to confuse the viewer or the reader. So just try and keep it really specific. So getting it down, making sure that the colour palettes look really different from what I've offered obviously last season. And just that all the images sit really, really easy together. And then I sort of put my designer head and think, well, if I look at this trend, can I physically design? Is there enough influences for shape? Is there enough influences for print for me to be able to create a capsule collection of, say, 7 to 11 pieces, which I generally think is the basis of most ranges, children's wear capsule ranges. And then basically after that, once I'm happy with all the images, it's like the massive task of editing it all, kind of going through it all, making sure that all the images are referenced, making sure all the writing's correct, going through it with a fine tooth comb really, until it's ready to publish.
A lot of late nights.
Yeah.
It's a good point you brought up about referencing. I think, well, obviously from a point of view of the designer, it's nice to know that you are being referenced.
Yeah.
But it's a nice starting point for somebody who's using the trend report, that they can then go off and research further into whoever it is that you've referenced in the trend reports. I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also lots of people actually do go on to go and try and buy those designers' prints and stuff. So especially when I'm featuring, because I do like loads of new and upcoming designers, because I think that's obviously where you get some real new handwriting rather than designers that have been in the industry for years. Although they've got beautiful handwriting, people are very used to it. Whereas if you get somebody that's new, it's really, really exciting for people. So I quite often sell it to a brand, and they'll go and end up buying the actual print or getting the designer to produce something similar for them under that heading. So it's been really good for things like that.
Oh, that's good. Do you have any tips for designers on how to become trend savvy and how to try and spot trends themselves?
I mean, again, going on what I was talking about earlier, I mean, looking outside of the fashion world, because one common mistake, especially when I'm lecturing on trend, is I get a student that's created a trend board with all images from catwalks or images of fashion images, and it's not about that. It's about looking at the bigger picture. Again, what's emerging in the market, what new brands are coming through, what's happening in society at the moment, how's that going to affect the consumer? Because that's where often trends come from and should come from, and how that's kind of going to affect people's buying motives in the coming years. So it really is looking at the bigger picture and thinking about it all the time. I mean, although it seems a long way off and lots of people are working on different seasons at the same time, but now, thinking for sort of 2 years ahead now, what is happening at the moment, what's in the news, what are magazines featuring, what are brands doing, especially like those new really innovative brands, and even technology and things, what's happening and how could that have an effect upon people's buying motives, like going forward, and trying to create that into a trend. So it really is just thinking the whole time what's kind of going on and analysing it.
Okay, that's great. Do you think it's important to consider global events, or for example, even something down to a huge new Star Wars film coming out, how that trickles down and impacts, the interest in space and, all of those kind of things?
Absolutely. Music and film are a huge influence, of course. I mean, when you've got something like Star Wars, you'll always see some kind of trend that's going to come up that's space related or whatever. And also, like you said, I mean, international events too. I mean, people that buy my trend magazine, they're not just UK or European based, they're coming from all around the world. And although they want to kind of know what's going on in Europe, that I tend to always make each one of my trends almost, especially if it's sort of like a location thing. Like, for example, I had something recently that was on Mexico. I've had other things that are, kind of got like African features, another thing that kind of looked at like Australian outback influences of things. So it's trying to like build influences from all the way around the world, and then kind of filtering it down into like a children's wear trend. So it is like a huge thing that you're trying to filter, but just looking everywhere and what's kind of going on internationally as well as at home in UK and Europe.
Okay, brilliant. And what would you say are some of your favourite resources?
One of my favourite resources, I do love trawling through Etsy actually, at all the coming brands and like handcrafted things that people are doing. There's some really beautiful ideas in that. I mean, you only have to go on Pinterest for 10 minutes, and I'm sure, if you follow a few people, they're looking at the same kind of thing. Any kind of new brands, I love looking at sort of Scandinavian brands too. I really love their kind of brand philosophy. And going off skew a bit, but the way they have like children's wear education out in Scandinavia is really beautiful, how they're playing outdoors the whole time, and that really does sort of is represented in the children's clothing too. It's really, really naive, but really, really different. Yeah.
And do you have any favourite brands or stores that you think are always really nailing it?
Well, it varies. Like from high street ones, I love Mango Kids. I love Zara. Even like although Next isn't so fashion forward, they've got a really, really lovely formula. Even Bowden, which is like been a brand that's been established for years and hasn't moved on, it's still got a very good formula that kind of works for them and works really, really well. Jules, Kids, I absolutely love. I think they're really, really lovely. I love Country Road Australia, Cotton On, Stella McCartney Kids, just loads. And then also, like I said, loads of the Etsy shops. I can't remember them all the names, but they're featured a lot in my trend magazine. There's some really, really beautiful ones that people have. So just trawling through there.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you
It's been
for
a
all
pleasure
of the
speaking to you too.